It's time for Baby and Toddler Instructions with host Blythe Lipman. Blythe is a nationally renowned infant and toddler expert who has over 30 years' experience helping moms and dads regain their sanity, teaching them how to survive, and giving them the confidence they need to be the best parents ever. From sleeping to crying to potty training to choosing a preschool and so much more. If you're a parent, Baby and Toddler Instructions is the show you've been looking for. Now here's your host, Blythe Lipman.
Well, good morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time zone you may be in. How is everyone today? I am great. The sun is shining. I didn't float away. We had so much rain in Arizona on Monday. I've never seen this much rain. We usually get about 5 minutes of rain. But wow, you know what? The water was up to the car doors. We made the news all over the United States, maybe even the world. There was mud. It's terrible. So many people had mud in their houses. It showed them sweeping out the mud. It was like a rain blizzard. And I think sometimes because we don't get the rain, maybe our draining systems don't work as well as they should. But I guess next time we get this, it will work a little better. So I do wish everyone a speedy cleanup and trust you're all safe. But if you see my videos, go to my channel on YouTube, Blythe Lipman, and I do videos every week. Also, if you go to the toginet.com page and go to Baby and Toddler Instructions, I do my promos every week with my wonderful actors, my dogs. And Desi, who's my black dog, he's a Schnorky. He's a Schnauzer Yorkie. All 11 pounds of him. He loved finding the deepest puddles. And it was up to his dog knees. He was running in and out just like a toddler. Casey just told me that if you look on the front page on toginet.com, you can see my silly dogs. Anyway, I hope everybody's safe, and let's keep the sunshine out, and pretty soon the leaves will be turning beautiful colors. I am very excited about my guest this morning. She'll be with us in just a bit. Her name is Dr. Lorna Frederickson. She's a wonderful dermatologist, and we're going to talk all about keeping you and your family's skin healthy. I mean, what's the real skinny on sunscreen? Do we need it in the winter? You know, what about all these UV rays that we get all the time, that our kids get just in general from being outside? So anyway, Dr. Frederickson will be with us in just a bit. We did have some recalls. The Livy and Luca recalled children's shoes. They're called the Carta and Cotton children's shoes. That's the name of them. It says there's a metal thread inside the interior shoe liner that can loosen and poke through the lining, posing a laceration hazard. Boy, that doesn't sound too comfortable to walk on. And also, if you have little ones, you can't always tell what hurts them. Anyway, that's the Livy and Luca. The FGX International recalled children's sunglasses because they have excessive levels of lead, which is, as we know, is prohibited. Also, a company called Trayvous, V-O-U-S, recalled snack and activity trays for strollers. It says the opening between the recalled tray and stroller seat bottom allows an unharnessed child's body to pass through, but could trap a child's head, posing a strangulation hazard. Wow. Anyway, those recalls are already on my websites, mybestparentingadvice.com and babyinstructions.com, and there's a whole lot more on my websites. So check it out. Check out all the recalls, and if you do have something that's been recalled, do not try to fix it yourself. Take it back. Call the company. I put the 800 numbers. I put the links to their websites. Take it back. Get your money back. Don't try fixing it yourself. Accidents happen in 2 seconds, and we need to keep those little ones safe. And speaking of that, did you know that the Child Passenger Safety Week is September 14th to 20th? And 90% of car seats for kids are installed incorrectly. It says here the Phoenix firefighters respond to an astounding number of car crashes, more than 7,000 just in the first 6 months of 2014. And a lot of them, unfortunately, had children that their car seats either weren't installed right or they weren't in the car seats. Says the law, that's why there's a click it or ticket law. Children under 8 years old and under 4 feet 9 must be in a booster seat, and infants must be properly restrained in a car seat. Also check that you have the right seat, because the seats change with the weight of the child. And also, I talked about this a couple weeks ago. Car seats car seats, not only do they wear out, but you have to look at the date on them. You know, they add new things to them, and they expire. The dates expire. It's usually on the bottom of the car seat. So it says, here's some mistakes when installing car seats. The 5 most common mistakes are the wrong harness slot is used, the straps used to hold the child in the car seat are positioned too low or too high. Harness chest clip is positioned over the abdomen rather than the chest, or not used at all. You know, you see kids that pull that belt across them, but they put it behind their head and their back, so that's not protecting them. Loose car seat installation, and you can figure that out by just pulling it. A loose harness, more than 2 inches of slack between the child and the harness strap. That there shouldn't be any slack. And seatbelt placement is wrong. The lap belt is resting over the stomach, and or the shoulder is near the child's face or neck. Well, that's because you put it possibly in the wrong slots. You know, you look in the back of the car seat when you pull the buckles through. Anyway, you know what? Take a little drive, go to your local fire department, or go online and see when they do car seat checks, because it's so important to make sure your car seat is installed the right way. So that was about car seats. Also, you know, you prepped your little one for preschool, and he or she has started, but what a struggle you have sometimes with the breakfast, or what to wear, getting out of the car. And I'm going to share a couple tips from Help My Toddler Came Without Instructions, but also I have tips in Help My Baby Came Without Instructions, my 2 books. Let me share these tips if your little one's in preschool and you're having just a little struggle in the morning. You know what? It's tough to get out the door. Make sure you dress and get yourself ready first. You never know what surprises are going to happen in the morning. Unforeseen things always happen. If your child needs lunch and he or she wants the same thing every day, first of all, pack it the night before. And second of all, as long as it's healthy, it doesn't matter. You know what? Kids do that. Like, you have children that just want macaroni and cheese, or they just want carrots, or whatever it is. But let them help you. Let's see, what else? I have so many tips, I don't know what to share with you. Also, ask your toddler to pick out his or her clothes the night before, and only give 2 outfit choices. Don't say, what do you want to wear tomorrow? Say, do you want to wear the blue shirt, or do you want to wear the red shirt, or do you want to wear the pink skirt, or do you want to wear shorts? Too many choices are just so confusing. So those are a couple of tips to make your mornings easier when you're getting ready to take your child to preschool. Also, you can get my books on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Audible.com, and I have an offer today. If you call us during the show, I will send you a free download for either one of my books, Help My Baby Came Without Instructions or Help My Toddler Came Without Instructions, and I'll send you a free Audible download so you can have the book and you can listen to it while you're at the gym, or maybe while your child's taking a nap. Anyway, the phone number here is 877-864-4869. I love callers, so call us. Yay, 877-864-4869. Also, before I welcome Dr. Lorna, I found one other thing that I wanted to share with you. It just made me laugh. You know, I have a sense of humor, and this was so funny. A woman named Anna Lynn Thomas wrote an article called 5 Things You Can Totally Say to Me When I'm Pregnant. And I got this from Babbel.com. I love that site. She said, don't ever ask, you can say to me, are you pregnant? She gave people permission, but she said, don't ever ask anybody if you're not sure. You know, maybe they just had the baby. Also, she liked, you look adorable. I'd wear that outfit every day if I was you. You know what? Great thing to say to a pregnant woman, even if they're wearing the same thing every single day, because sometimes things just aren't comfortable when you're pregnant. Also, eat whatever the baby wants. You're only pregnant once or twice. And however many times you get pregnant, enjoy. Well, she says a nauseous woman isn't reaching for kale, nor is a woman in her 2nd trimester with hunger so fierce she's tearing up the pantry. So if a woman with child, you stumble upon her and she's eating an LSD lace brownie, by all means tell her no. But you know what? If she's eating a brownie laced with flour, sugar, and a pinch of heaven, cheer her on, because she's just trying to get to the finish line and have that baby. So you know what? If you have a pregnant mom, if you have a pregnant friend, be careful what you say. But you know what? Remember, it's hard carrying that baby. So brownies are good. So we're gonna have a break in just a few minutes, and I want to tell you about my guest. Right before the break, her name is Dr. Lorna Frederickson. She is a board-certified dermatologist practicing dermatology for almost 20 years. She attended medical school at the University of Minnesota and received dermatology residency training at Oregon Health Sciences University. After she completed her residency, she was a clinician and instructor at the Mayo Clinic here in Scottsdale, and she's now in private practice in Paradise Valley here in Arizona. She sees problems caused by excessive sun exposure on a daily basis, and one of her top professional commitments is to see the devastating effects UV exposure reduced. She hopes that parents and children everywhere can become more sun savvy. And she's written articles. She's written, her master's thesis was in microbiology. And I have to tell you, Dr. Lorna has been my doctor for years, and she is just wonderful and sweet and knows her stuff because, you know, especially living in Arizona, I mean, our sun is really tough. We have it most of the year, except last week when we had all that rain. And, you know, how do you know what to do? Do we need sunscreen in the winter? There are a lot of people that use tanning beds. I mean, I can't wait to talk to her after the break so she can clear so many things up. And what about the little ones that go outside to play? Do you still need to put sunscreen on them every morning? Also, I saw how much sunscreen you're supposed to put on, and I can tell you, just from experience, even myself, none of us have ever put the right amount on either. So after the break, we're going to talk to Dr. Lorna Frederickson. And again, if you call us at 877-864-4869, you can ask Dr. Lorna a question, and you can also get a free download of one of my books. So get those questions ready. It's going to be a great show today, and I can't wait to talk to her because I have a really important question that I've been waiting all week to ask her that somebody sent in to me. So the tunes will be coming. Get your questions ready. And by the way, listen to all our other great shows on TogiNet.com. We have so many wonderful shows. So check us out. I love our hosts, terrific shows, and you can pull up the podcast. We'll be right back.
We'll be right back with more Help My Baby Came Without Instructions. It's Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet. We'll be right back right after these. In today's business world, a helping hand or idea that doesn't come with an invoice is a treasured find. And if that happens to you, then you need to pay it forward to keep other entrepreneurs from making mistakes or getting a raw deal. It's called Paying It Forward with Josephine Girassi, Wednesday mornings at 10, 9 a.m. Central. Josephine is going to have the guests describe their accomplishments, the lessons they've learned, both good and bad, and then sharing those pieces of knowledge as we create a movement of paying it forward. For more information about Josephine, her business, and background, you can go to mymomknowsbest.com. Josephine Girassi has always been a problem solver. She saw this need and has turned it into a movement. It's Paying It Forward with tips, tools, and advice and hard lessons learned. These pieces of knowledge can make a huge difference for you, your business, and others. So join us for Paying It Forward with Josephine Girassi, Wednesday mornings at 10 a.m., 9 a.m. Central on TogiNet.com. Get ready for Wise Up Radio, leveraging your learning, leadership, and legacy with Donna Kimbrand, the Edgy Evolutionary, Tuesdays at 1 p.m. Eastern, here on the Rockstar Radio Network. If you're an entrepreneurial leader or visionary, stay ahead of your game with insights, tools, and strategies that give you the thought leader's edge. Each week, join Donna and her guests as she'll ask the edgy questions, help you discover game-changing shortcuts to better thinking and learning, how to explore the ripple effects of leadership excellence, and how to create your life as a living legacy, where the legacy you leave is the life you live. As thought leaders, you need strategies to help you enjoy the confidence and thrill of riding the wave of rapid change.
For more on Donna, check out her website, GameChangerThinking.com. Then join the conversation and sharpen up your wits on Wise Up Radio with Donna Kimbrand, Tuesdays at 1 p.m. Eastern, here on the Rockstar Radio Network. Welcome back to Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet, the hour for all moms with little ones to come for great advice, encouragement, and great ideas for all new parents. Now, back to the show with Blythe Lipman.
Well, welcome back to the show. I am so excited about my guest, and I want to welcome Dr. Lorna Frederickson to the show. Good morning. How are you?
Oh, good morning, Blythe. I'm great. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks. Thanks so much for being on the show today. Did I miss anything on your bio?
No, I think you covered it well. Thanks.
Okay, because feel free to add to it. Well, let's see. Where do we start? I mean, we live in Arizona, but this show is all over the world. And let's talk, there's UV light everywhere. Let's start there. I mean, talk about the UV light and what do we do? I mean, we can't make it go away. We all love sunshine, but some of it's not so safe, is it?
No, really none of it stays safe. Of course, UV is all over the world. It's more intense as you approach the equator, but ultraviolet is there every day at all latitudes. There are a couple of different types of ultraviolet light: ultraviolet B, A, and C, or ABC. The ultraviolet C is primarily blocked by the ozone layer, and UVB and UVA penetrate through the ozone layer and reach our skin. The ultraviolet B is blocked by window glass and to some degree by cloud cover, but UVA penetrates through the clouds quite readily and also through window glass. So even when you feel like you're in the house but near windows or in your car, you're actually getting some ultraviolet A in particular even through the glass.
So here's a quick question. When you have your patients come in, is their left arm usually tan and their right arm isn't? We ride and our left arm faces the window more.
It tends to be the whole left side of the face, neck, and arm tend to be a little bit more sun damaged than the right. And I have read that in Britain, for instance, it's worse on the right because that's exposed. So we attribute that to time spent behind the wheel. And I think it's even more dramatic in people who've spent a lot of time behind the wheel, an over-the-road trucker or somebody who spends most of their day in a car.
That's really tough. So what do you do? Can we put enough sunscreen on, or do we just wear long sleeve shirts, or is there a fix?
Oh, yes, there's a lot of things you can do. You just approach it with as much common sense as you can. The first thing I like to do is seek shade and avoid the midday sun. Try to do your outdoor activities very early in the morning or late in the day. Try to put a shade covering over the pool. If you're doing yard work, try to follow the shade around the house. And when you can't do that, covering up with protective clothing, hats, guarding your eyes against the damaging effects of ultraviolet is also important. So wearing good UV ranked sunglasses is a good idea too. And then when you can't cover up, I think sunscreen has that adjunct role, and applying that every day is a good idea to any area of your body that's going to be exposed. And if you are outdoors or going out at lunch, for instance, reapplying frequently if you're outdoors all day.
So is it still, the rule used to always be don't go out between 11 and 2. Is that still the rule, or are the hours different?
We've expanded that to 10 a.m. and 4 p.m., and I think in really sunny climates like Arizona, it gets pretty intense by 8 or 9 a.m. and probably still continues until later in the afternoon, but at least 10 to 4 if possible. I would try to arrange my schedule around those hours in the sun.
Well, I remember, as kids, I'll speak for myself. I just remember laying on the beach for hours, and I never used what was it, iodine and baby oil or something to burn us up. Or I used to call them the cancer reflectors. Remember those aluminum metal things? They weren't metal. They were like aluminum, and you put them on your face. I remember seeing my mother holding one of those things up. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do remember those. I never had one of those, but I did try the baby oil and iodine myself, I'm sad to say.
Well, you know what? We didn't know. I love the sun, and I'm a beach person, but I'll tell you what, it's different because we all know now how it's not safe. I always wonder, too, also being a beach person, I'm a water person, and I always love to be in the ocean, and the reflection from the water is not so good either. And what do parents do, especially on the beach when they have their little ones and they're digging in the sand for hours, and, they go back and forth to get their pail of water to dump in the little hole. And yes, they can try to keep them under the umbrella while they're digging, but, that skin is so sensitive when they're babies and toddlers.
Yes. In fact, the real little ones, you probably need to just, I'm talking infants less than 6 months old. We really don't even like sunscreen on their skin. It's so delicate. So just covering them, they're easy to keep in shade. For the toddlers that are starting to move around, it's impossible to keep up with them. I'd agree. But you can get protective swimwear, and that's what I got for my kids. I gave them a hat, sunglasses, and what the Australians call rashies. Nylon material, much like bathing suit material, that covers them from the base of the neck down to the wrists and to the ankles. And you can get some that are more like capri length, too. They're wonderful. They don't wear off. The little ones accept them. They're not really there to make a fashion statement. They just want to play in the sand and the water. So I think those are marvelous. And then a cute little hat.
How do you spell that? How do you spell that? Rashies?
Rashies or rash guards. There's a number of protective clothing companies out there that carry them, usually with a sun protection factor, an SPF factor of 30. Solumbra is a brand. Sunday Afternoons has some clothing and some hats. I've even seen protective clothing on Amazon. So it's becoming more and more abundant. I even saw it in Costco recently. So I was happy to see that. So it's out there, and it's really useful. I remember how difficult, almost exhausting it was to try to get thorough sunscreen coverage on my kids. And my husband, and, he needs to help with his back. By the time I got done with my kids and my husband, it was like, I hardly wanted to bother with my own. But because I need to set a good example. It's exhausting. So I love protective clothing, and it pays for itself.
You know what? I'll have to put this on my website too. But it's funny because when you're talking about that, it reminds me. I lived in Maine. Both my children were born in Maine, and I can remember it's the same thing getting the snowsuits on. By the time you get everybody all dressed to go out for the 5 seconds, you don't even feel like going with them because it's a lot of work.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Also, I want to add one of my own tips here. Babies, toddlers sometimes don't like hats, don't like sunglasses, don't want to put any of those things on. Start early. You know what? If you start early and put the hats on your babies, not the first couple of months, but when they're 5-6 months, start putting the hats on. When you have a toddler, put your own hat on and put your own sunglasses on. And if your toddler won't put his or her hat on, ask them to put your hat on. Toddlers love to help, and they also love to copy everything that we do. That's how they learn. So ask them to help you, and then they're not going to fight you so much. I'm not going to guarantee every time, but I can tell you it will make it easier to get them to leave their hats on. And also, if you have an older toddler, 3 or 4, you can also put a little sunscreen in their hand and ask them to help you rub it in on their legs, or you put it on their leg and let them help you. Because again, it's great for self-esteem, and it also lets them help. Or you can, let them rub some sunscreen on mommy or daddy's arm or leg, because it's all about learning. As we know, toddlers want to do everything themselves, but then they don't want to do things that you tell them many times. So that's my tip. Get them to help you.
Very good idea.
We're going to break for commercial in just a couple minutes, but I do want to talk to you more about the sunscreen, and we can start talking about it. How much sunscreen? Because I saw this commercial on TV, and it looked like it had like a half a cup of sunscreen, and and watching people on the beach many times, they have a little tiny bit in their hand and they rub it on the arm, and what do we know? We don't always know how much is enough.
Yes, for an adult who maybe is wearing a pair of shorts and a tank top, it's about 2 tablespoons to cover the whole exposed surface thoroughly. I like doing it on myself and my kids. I always like doing 2 layers to make sure I had nice, consistent coverage. So 2 tablespoons for an adult, and the amount for a child would be proportionate to that. And putting it on about 30 to 20 minutes before going outside to kind of give it a chance to set, if you will. It will work better if you allow a little time before you actually go out.
So leave yourself plenty of time, because there's unforeseen things like I was talking about before we welcome Dr. Lorna. Things come up, so leave yourself lots of time if you're going to meet somebody at the pool or at the beach. Give yourself that extra time so the sunscreen does have time to sink in. So that's really good, 2 tablespoons for adults, because I know none of us put that much on. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to be thinking more if I go out in the sun or to the beach. But we're going to have a break, and when we come back, we'll talk more about keeping your skin safe. And I want to talk about freckles, so we'll be right back.
We'll be right back with more help. For help, my baby came without instructions. It's Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet. We'll be right back right after these.
Baby love, my baby love, I need you, oh, I need you.
In today's business world, a helping hand or idea that doesn't come with an invoice is a treasured find. And if that happens to you, then you need to pay it forward to keep other entrepreneurs from making mistakes or getting a raw deal. It's called Paying It Forward with Josephine Gerasi, Wednesday mornings at 10, 9 a.m. Central. Josephine is going to have the guests describe their accomplishments, the lessons they've learned, both good and bad, and then sharing those pieces of knowledge as we create a movement of paying it forward. For more information about Josephine, her business, and background, you can go to mymomknowsbest.com. Josephine Gerasi has always been a problem solver. She saw this need and has turned it into a movement. It's Paying It Forward, with tips, tools, and advice and hard lessons learned. These pieces of knowledge can make a huge difference for you, your business, and others. So join us for Paying It Forward with Josephine Gerasi, Wednesday mornings at 10 a.m., 9 a.m. Central on TogiNet.com.
It's time to devote time to yourself and strap yourself in for a fun, down-to-earth, enthusiastic, compassionate, easy-to-understand discussion on the unlimited ways you can be all that you want to be. Join us for Bee Institute Radio with Christine McKee on TogiNet Radio. Each week, Christine will have lively and open discussions and interviews, share stories and case studies, and hear from experts on the topic of the week. Christine, a registered psychologist from Australia and published author of Bee by Design, How I Be Is Up to Me. hosts lively discussions and interviews every Thursday evening at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Welcome back to Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet, the hour for all moms with little ones to come for great advice, encouragement, and great ideas for all new parents. Now, back to the show with Blythe Lipman.
Well, welcome back. I'm so happy you could tune in. I'm here with my wonderful guest and Dr. Lorna Frederickson. She's a dermatologist here in Arizona, and they have a terrific website. And you know what? I've learned so much from her about my skin. And I have older skin, but today we're talking about not only older skin, younger skin, we're talking about babies and toddlers too. And, you know, we were talking a little bit about how much sunscreen to use before the break, but I did have one more question. What do you think about the spray sunscreen?
I like spray sunscreen. It's, I kind of like doing 2 coats of it, kind of think of it like spray paint. You're not going to get good coverage with just one quick squirt. So going over the entire surface, letting it set and dry a little bit, and then another layer of it. It's not a good idea to spray it directly into your child's face. For the face, either use a different product or spray it into your hands and then pat it onto the face. But it's a very good option, and I think kids like the fun options.
You know, they do like that when they see the spray. They really think it's some, but I do have to caution one thing, because if you do use that spray, when I've used it in the past, go outside or go someplace where you're not going to slip, because it sometimes gets on your floor, or put a towel down. It's very slippery. You can break your neck.
Oh, yeah.
Doing that.
Yeah, it's tricky that way, and you probably don't want to breathe all the fumes, so it's nice to be outside. It's very hard, though. You can't apply that stuff in the wind.
Oh,
so I take the kids into the garage.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, that was my favorite. Yeah.
Also, you know what, like Dr. Frederickson said, don't spray it on your kids' faces, especially, I have it in both of my books. One of my tips is don't ever spray or shake anything on your children. Always put it in your hand, especially with a young baby. This isn't about sunscreen, but lots of parents use powder, and you never want to sprinkle that on them, because a baby's, reaction is to breathe in and they go, and you don't want them to get the powder in their lungs. So anything you ever put on your children, always in your hands first if you're going to put it on their face or any place else, especially with the young babies. So that was just an aside. Let's talk a little bit about freckles. Freckles are really cute, and many times, you'll hear girls say, "Oh, look, I think I got a tan. Look at the freckles on my nose." Isn't that actually sun damage?
Well, there are two basic types of freckles. Simple freckles, the very even, small, light tan ones that are so common in redheads and other fair skin types. Those tend to be more genetic and uncontrollable, although sun exposure will make them more numerous and darker, and probably is what brings them out and accentuates them during early childhood. Then the second type of freckle is a sun-induced freckle that we start seeing sometimes immediately after a sunburn in a young person, but we definitely see adults or young adults start to accumulate those. And they tend to be a little bit more splotchy and quite a bit bigger than the little spray of freckles that somebody might have on their nose at age 3, 4, or 5. And those are a definite sign of sun damage.
So I know even for myself, and I'm a little older than 4 or 5, a lot older. I know, I know when I go in the sun, a lot of times I'll get freckles, and I do not sunbathe because it's bad. But I know when I'm out in the sun, even just planting flowers or doing something for maybe 20 minutes, I'll come in and there's freckles on my nose, and I go, uh-oh, I haven't put enough sunscreen on.
It's the fair person's tan, I think. Likewise, darker skin types will tan quite readily, but in order to get a freckle or to get a tan, you've had to damage the skin. It's the skin's response to damage. It actually is a response to ultraviolet mutating the DNA of the cell. And then the cell responds by turning on the pigment production. So they're an immediate or very early sign of some sun damage occurring. Now, fortunately, our bodies can go back and repair some of the damage, but not all of it. And over time, that damage accumulates and eventually may lead to skin cancer or other signs of aging like freckles and wrinkles and blotchy redness.
So these freckles, if you want freckles, I think we go get one of those pencils and put them on ourselves. Not good to get those freckles. What I do, I have my sunscreen in the morning, right when I wash my face in the morning. I brush my teeth, and part of it is you put your sunscreen on. If you do it in the morning, if you make it part of your ritual, and you have it with your kids when you get your children to brush their teeth, put the sunscreen on. It makes it so much easier to make it a ritual like we do everything else, instead of saying, oh, I forgot, and putting it, like in the kitchen or someplace that you forget when you're on your way out the door. Anyway, that's what works for me. Do you have any other tips to remember to put it on?
Oh, I agree. Just building it into the routine, just like we teach our kids to brush their teeth, at least when they get up and before they go to bed, maybe after meals. Just making the sunscreen part of their normal daily morning routine. Before we back out of the driveway, we're going to have our seatbelts on. It should be kind of an automatic thing that we want to instill in them early. Just a healthy lifestyle, that choice that comes automatically. Definitely, I felt I did a fairly good job as a parent instilling some of those habits in my children, but they push back and rebel against them. By the time they were in grade school, the hat was not cool. They might have gotten teased. I found it in the bottom of the backpack. But, I'm hoping they'll come back to their better behaviors soon.
Can I ask how old your children are?
I have two stepdaughters in their 30s, and I have an 18-year-old son and a 15-year-old daughter.
Wow. Okay, so this is a perfect segue into this. Even in Arizona, I see this so much with the young girls, especially. I don't know about the boys, but they go to tanning beds. And when I hear somebody going to a tanning bed, it's like, what are you doing? To me, and I'm not a dermatologist. Like, don't do that to your skin.
Oh, absolutely. Tanning beds are as bad and perhaps worse than the sun. They deliver the same ultraviolet light. You can get a high dose in a very short period of time. They deliver mostly ultraviolet A, which we know has a role in skin cancer formation and aging of the skin. And we have shown very clearly a linkage between tanning bed use and an increased risk of skin cancer. And the data is as strong, maybe even stronger, than the link between smoking and lung cancer. Wow. So they're definitely a known carcinogen. The FDA has very recently put them into a high-risk category of carcinogen or cancer-provoking agents. So it's very well established. And that would be another thing, just to start young, discouraging your kids on the use of tanning beds.
What about, though, you hear so many young girls say, well, I'm going to the beach for spring break or with my family, and I just want to get that first tan so I don't burn on the beach. That's not true, is it?
It's not really true. A tan is minimally protective. It does protect, but I like to put it into context. Even a dark tan is probably an SPF of about 4. a sunscreen that would have an SPF rating of 4. Pretty minimal when we're shooting for an SPF of 30 to adequately protect our skin. So that tan is a sign of damage, and it does very, very little to protect your skin from further damage. So forget the base tan. Just use, you're much better off getting a spray tan for the color and exercising safety, sun safety when you're at the beach or the pool.
If you get a spray tan, is that gonna protect you? Because you have a base?
Point. It is not protective. It's not protective. It's just there for that color, for the appearance, the aesthetic of it. The chemical used for spray tanning is been around a long time. It produces a reaction in the skin a lot like the browning or oxidation of an apple left out on the counter. So we think that there's a good safety track record for that chemical, but it doesn't give you a protective barrier against ultraviolet. So the spray tan for the color and sunscreen for the protection or protective clothing or shade.
You know what? Those are really good tips because I have to say, especially as women, most of us think we all look better with tans. We look healthier. But they have great bronzers out there and great makeup, and you can wash your face at night. You can still look healthy during the day, and you don't have to put the chemicals from the spray tan. I mean, I have to say I got a spray tan once, and I thought it was really funny, and it came off in 2 days because I'm kind of light-skinned, and I looked at myself and I thought, I don't look healthy. I look stupid. I look kind of fake. I mean, I wasn't orange or anything, but I didn't care for my own skin. And at the show, you know what? We have new moms that all want to look great. Use your makeup. There's great makeup brands out there that Dr. Lorna can talk about too when we come back from the break. But, or whatever you like, you can wash it off. You're not going to get sun damage from using your makeup, and then you can control it. Sometimes with the spray tan, I know the first thing the woman said to me, do you want it heavy or do you want it medium? And I never had a spray tan. And I thought, well, I don't know. Am I going to look, what am I going to look like? So I don't remember what I said, but I don't think I would do it again. Also, it's the fumes when they're spraying it. Mm-hmm. It's not so great to breathe in either.
The safety of inhaling it is not really known. It's probably more of a concern for the person working day in and day out in that the establishment rather than the customer, but definitely you'd want to hold your breath. And it has that annoying tendency to have greater affinity for the thicker areas of skin, right, like the elbows, the knees, the knuckles.
I hate to interrupt you, but we're going to have a break. I see.
Oh, sure.
Telling me he's got to play the tune, so we'll be right back.
We'll be right back with more Help My Baby Came Without Instructions. It's Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet. We'll be right back right after these. In today's business world, a helping hand or idea that doesn't come with an invoice is a treasured find. And if that happens to you, then you need to pay it forward to keep other entrepreneurs from making mistakes or getting a raw deal. It's called Paying It Forward with Josephine Girassi, Wednesday mornings at 10, 9 a.m. Central. Josephine is going to have the guests describe their accomplishments, the lessons they've learned, both good and bad, and then sharing those pieces of knowledge as we create a movement of paying it forward. For more information about Josephine, her business, and background, you can go to mymomknowsbest.com. Josephine Girassi has always been a problem solver. She saw this need and has turned it into a movement. It's Paying It Forward with tips, tools, and advice and hard lessons learned. These pieces of knowledge can make a huge difference for you, your business, and others. So join us for Paying It Forward with Josephine Girassi, Wednesday mornings at 10 a.m., 9 a.m. Central on TogiNet.com.
Hey kids, do you think you're creative? Do you want to be? Don't have enough time for your arts, crafts, and hobbies? Or do you just need a kick in the pants? Hi, I'm Mark Lipinski, the host of Creative Mojo with Mark Lipinski, right here on TogiNet Radio. Come on and join me every Wednesday afternoon for some creative inspiration and 2 of the fastest fun-filled hours of your week. Hey, need ideas? How about a little motivation and a lot of inspiration? Join the fun on Creative Mojo with me, Mark Lipinski. I'm here live every Wednesday afternoon at 3 p.m. Eastern, 1 Pacific, right here on TogiNet.com. Now what are you waiting for?
Welcome back to Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet, the hour for all moms with little ones to come for great advice, encouragement, and great ideas for all new parents. Now, back to the show with Blythe Lipman.
Well, welcome back. I'm here talking to Dr. Lorna Frederickson. She's a wonderful dermatologist, and we're talking about safety and your skin and the sun and sunscreen, and I can't believe we're up to the last part of the show. So, two things. First of all, do we need to put sunscreen on if we live in a cold climate in the winter?
Yes, every day. You might not need to use as much because not as much skin is exposed, but any exposed body area every day, and then frequent reapplication. The recommendation is about 2 hours, every 2 hours when you're outdoors. Even more frequently if you're in and out of the water, you're sweating. But some of the most sun-damaged people I see are skiers. They are facing a higher altitude where the UVB and UVA, but especially the UVB, is more intense, and reflection off the snow. So even though they might be more covered up, their face, their exposed areas are very prone to sunburn and the damaging effect of the sun's rays.
That's important to know, because I was telling Dr. Lorna during the break that I got a terrible sunburn once when we lived in Maine, and I went cross-country skiing, and I thought I was in the woods and, in the clear, and boy, what did I know 30 years ago? So my sunscreen will go on every day. Also, what kind of sunscreen? How do you know what to pick? I mean, I've heard that anything over 30 is just a marketing ploy, that you don't need 50s, 55. What's the real skinny on this?
Well, in Arizona, I recommend our patients use an SPF of 30. Other places are going to tell you 15. 15 is a minimum, and when the SPF stands for sun protection factor, it is a ranking of ultraviolet B protection. And just ultraviolet B. So let's talk about that first. At SPF 15, a large percentage of ultraviolet B is being blocked or screened out. I can't remember the exact number, but it's in the very high 90 percentile, 96 or 97%, I believe. As the SPF goes up to 30, you're only getting a few more percentage points, let's say from 96% to 98 or 99%. And it never really, approaches but doesn't quite meet 100%. The higher SPF might give you a little more latitude on a thinner application, the length of time before it wears off to a more critical level before, kind of going down the curve, down the slope to below SPF of 15. So I think 30 is a nice number for most people, and making sure they apply it very, very thoroughly. So look for an SPF of 30, and the ingredients are important. We still have to be somewhat savvy in recognizing what is truly a broad spectrum, covering not only the UVB, which we know from the SPF ranking, but what blocks UVA the best. And I think it's still best to look at ingredients. And there are a couple of key ingredients I steer people to make sure they're getting good ultraviolet A coverage as well. And flipping the bottle over, looking at the ingredient list, and looking for products that contain zinc oxide titanium dioxide or avobenzene or avobenzone, which especially the Helioplex or Mixoral formulations. You almost have to be a bit of a chemist to really know you're getting good broad spectrum coverage. The FDA has started to make some improvements in labeling of sunscreen, but I think there's some room for more improvement. And, you get into the politics of that. I think as consumers, we still have to be kind of savvy looking for one of those ingredients, Helioplex, Mixoral, zinc oxide, or titanium dioxide.
And some of the bottles do have it on the front. And also, I need to just say that zinc oxide is clear. You can get it clear now because I remember as a kid having the white all over my face.
It is much better, much more, much easier to wear. You can also get it tinted, which helps with that opacity, especially I think for darker skin types. You don't want a white film on your skin, so tinted is also helpful.
So if you use a tinted moisturizer and it has an SPF of 15, do you need to put sunscreen on top of your tinted moisturizer or under it?
Absolutely, I do. I don't think any of us apply our cosmetics in a heavy enough layer. So it's best to put sunscreen on first and layer your coverage product over the top of that. Even if it does have SPF in it, it often you're not applying enough, number one. And number two, looking at the cosmetic counters, a lot of them really don't have good broad spectrum sunscreens in them. So I'd use both, layering them together.
Good
One of my
tip.
favorite combinations is a nice light sheer sunscreen for my face of an SPF 30. I put that on, and it doubles as a moisturizer. After that sets just for a little while, I put mineral makeup on over the top for a little color and evening out skin tone, and it layers really nicely for me. And I think across the board, a lot of people like that strategy.
That's a really good strategy. And you know what? You have beautiful skin. So whatever you do, we should all do what you do, and we'll have beautiful skin. Also, another question, we get skin cancer screenings as adults. Do children need it, and what age?
There are no strong guidelines for across-the-board skin cancer screening in kids, but kids can get skin cancer, especially the more deadly type of skin cancer, melanoma. It does occur in children. I kind of take the approach with children that they should it never hurts to get a baseline check, but if there's an immediate family member, a sibling, a parent with a history of melanoma, I think the children should probably get checked. As they get a little bit older, children with a lot of moles should probably be screened and checked periodically. And just for parents to be aware, skin cancer is not as common in children, but it can occur. So really be very suspect of a mole in your child that seems to be growing rapidly. Naturally, a small mole in a 1-year-old or 2-year-old is going to get bigger as the child gets into their teens, but it should be proportionate to the growth of the body, not growth within just a few short weeks or a few months. So having things like that checked, and a screen is painless and very inexpensive. So for peace of mind, I think a screening is always great, especially for fair people with a family history of melanoma or individuals that do have a lot of moles.
So you know what's so very important, and so many times you don't know. I mean, I have to say, I'm going to share this on the air. I did have a basal cell under my eye, and it was just dry skin, and it would be dry and it would go away and it would come back and it would go away. And one day I had a facial and my esthetician said, you need to get your skin checked. I've seen this, a couple times, and it turned out to be basal cell, and I would have never thought that this dry skin patch was anything. And, I'm fine, and I had it taken care of with wonderful Dr. Lorna. So if you have, even in women, if you have something that doesn't feel right and it keeps coming back, you can't check too much. I have to say that because I would have never, ever checked without that. So, it takes a second, it doesn't hurt, and it can really save you a lot of heartache sometimes. So,
yeah, absolutely.
So on that, I have to say, we're coming to the end of the show. I hate to interrupt you, but we're up to the end of the show, and I just want to tell everybody, if you want to see a wonderful website, it's www.azskincareplc.com, and I'll put it on my website, and I'll put it, if you look at the podcast, I put everything on there. And Dr. Lorna, thank you so much for being on the show today. I wish we had more time. I would love to have you come back because things change all the time.
It would be my pleasure, and thanks for having me.
Oh,
hopefully your listeners have learned a little bit.
Oh, my gosh, they've learned a lot. Well, thanks so much, and you have a great rest of your day.
All right, thanks.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Wow, what a great guest and a great show. I mean, I learn things all the time from my guests, and Dr. Lorna is just wonderful. Next week, my guest is going to be a surprise, so stay tuned for the video at the end of the week and find out. I love surprises, so I hope you do too. Also, I just added some new tips for you about sending your little ones to preschool. I shared some at the beginning of the show, and I have some more on my website, babyinstructions.com and mybestparentingadvice.com. And, of course, you can always see the most up-to-date recalls on all my sites. And Baby Jake, you have to meet Baby Jake. He posts on mybestparentingadvice.com. He's getting ready to share some more information about being a baby because who better knows? Also, you can find me on Facebook and Twitter and Pinterest and LinkedIn. I try to post daily. I love putting funny pictures. I just put one of my dog yesterday. And remember, if you need a little parent help with your baby or toddler, you can call my office at 480-510-1453. And I'd like to leave you today with these little gems. As Matt Walsh said, parenting is the easiest thing in the world to have an opinion about, but the hardest thing in the world to do. Boy, isn't that true? And every child is gifted. They just unwrap their packages at different times. I love that. Enjoy your children every day, your babies, your toddlers, your teenagers. They grow up so fast. In the blink of an eye, they go to kindergarten. You're coming home from the hospital and you think you're tired, it's going to last forever. Enjoy every day. Children are miracles. Thanks so much for tuning in. Have a great rest of your week. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.